Yeah.
I think.
We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order, March 31st, 2025. If you'll please stand for the pledge and invocation. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please bow your head. Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, thank you for another day in beautiful Lake City. Please provide us with the wisdom needed to take care of our constituents and do the business needed to carry our city forward. Watch over our veterans and first responders. Amen. All right. Sykes, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Brennan?
Present.
Councilmember Harris?
President.
Councilmember Young? Councilmember Carter?
Present.
Mayor Walker?
Present.
City Manager Rosenthal?
Here.
City Attorney Martin?
Here.
Chief Butler?
Here.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Lake City Council has opened its public meeting. Since 1968, the city code has prohibited any person from making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks or becoming boisterous while addressing the city council. Yelling or making audible comments from the audience constitutes boisterous conduct. Such conduct will not be tolerated. There is only one approved manner of addressing the city council, that is to be recognized and then to speak from the podium. As a reminder, persons are not to openly carry a handgun or carry a concealed firearm or weapon while the governing body is meeting. Failure to abide by the rules of decorum will result in removal from the meeting. This week is a little different. We don't have anything that we're voting on, so we're going to start with our items of discussion and have Four Waters Engineering, the Gwen Lake project, come and present.
Hello, I'm Michael Klink with Four Waters Engineering, engineer for the Gwen Lake project restoration. This is a progress update. All right.
Will you reintroduce yourself for the folks at home?
I'm Michael Klink with Four Waters Engineering, the engineer for the Gwen Lake project restoration. And this is the progress meeting for how the design efforts and permitting are going. So at this point, the existing conditions has been collected. The survey is complete. The wetlands have been delineated around the lake itself and then a little bit downstream until the road. Soil samples have been taken. Muck probing has been conducted. The muck probing helps us identify what kind of siltation was done in the lake so we know how much to remove. And then SPTs, which are the borings that help with, it's a geotechnical soil exploration that helps us with the structure itself when it goes back in where the old structure is damaged. The picture that's up there is the existing survey data, and to the left is where the geotech does his probe to identify how much needs to be removed. And all the rectangles in the lake, those are all the probes that were done, so we know how much that needs to be removed. And we'll probably take 6 inches to a foot below those probes. The proposed conceptual lake restoration, this is a proposed grading plan. The table to the right, you can see what the existing grade was for each elevation from 116 to 125, and then the proposed grade from 116 to 125, and then the net improvement that we're doing for that. So quite a bit being improved. There's also a cumulative volume comparison at the bottom of the table where it shows existing. So existing is about 1.3 is the volume of water for the lake, and we're proposed to take that to 2 million cubic feet with a net of about 700,000. So a really good improvement. Part of the grading plan is also looking at those probes to see what needs to be removed, but also trying to improve the lake itself so that it can stay healthy with a certain depth. You at least want 4 feet of deep depth, And we're ranging about 6.5 is what we're shooting for a healthy lake. The proposed conceptual dam outfall improvements, we're still working through that, but likely it's going to be an outfall structure that's in the lake that will have a great inlet on top as shown on the upper right, and then there'll be tongue and groove weir plates that will allow you to control the elevation of the lake. So during hurricane season, if it looks like there might be a direct hit, it might be good to pull all those out, lower the lake, and then it can be filled back up afterwards. But that will give you a little bit of relief in a flooding standpoint. And then the emergency spillway, which is actually the dam itself, the retaining wall, is the lower right. And it could be a combination of sheet pile, concrete cap, or cast in place. We're still working through exactly what that will look like and what that will be. That's based on the geotech. One thing we are going to do is we're going to take it where it ties into about 127 with a controlled outfall. We believe the previous retaining wall or dam really failed because the water was going over the entire thing, and it kind of gets on the edge of it and scours it, and then it fails. So we're going to design it so to avoid that and have a controlled outfall for 100-year and up to a 500-year. This is a conceptual model, just where we're at with the conceptual modeling standpoint of it. You can see the that's the existing condition, and then we have two different scenarios, the post with all the flashboards in and the post with the flashboards out. Basically what this is trying to show is that the lake will recover quickly by the way that we're doing the outfall, as previously mentioned. We had a pre-app meeting with Water Management District that went real well. The main takeaways from the meeting were this is a big one. Gwen Lake could likely be self-mitigating, so no additional wetland mitigation. That could get very costly. In fact, the Water Management District preliminarily agreed to that. That's the route that we're going. Additional sedimentation improvements requested by the Water Management District. So the city did make improvements upstream. They noticed that along the road on the eastern side of the lake that there is some erosion that needs to be taken care of. So we're proposing curb and gutter in that location as it flows that will be controlled. Structural vegetation planting as part of the restoration. That's mainly what they're talking about is on the east side, allowing some vegetation which also will help with the erosion. Dewatering plan to be included in the permit submittal, so how we're going to dewater the lake and then from there dredge the lake. The Army Corps permitting is believed to be non-jurisdictional because this is an isolated basin, so it's the top of the watershed. So that should save a lot of time with permitting with Army Corps. We plan to still submit as a courtesy to let them know that we're doing this, but we don't believe they have jurisdiction over it. The stormwater model is to show no impact or little impact from the pre-failure, and that's what we're currently working on right now is tightening up that model for the conceptual design. Once we finalize the conceptual design, we're going to set up another pre-application meeting with the Water Management District to get their input on any other items before we go to final design. This is the funding status. So there are two that are still pending, and this is in coordination with Gateway. So you can get more details on that if requested. And then currently, Gateway is coordinating on a hazard mitigation grant program as well, and it's in process of being submitted. Current schedule, we have the only remaining data collection is sampling of the lake. We are waiting for the Water Management District to give us a little guidance on what kind of sampling they want. Basically what we're trying to do there is to see if there's any hazardous materials so that we can take it to the landfill or where we can actually take the dredge material. We are finalizing the modeling right now. We plan on having the conceptual design in May. And we'll have a pre-app meeting scheduled right after we have the conceptual design done. And then we'll move into 90% design and permitting. And then when we get feedback back from the Water Management District, we'll finalize it for bid. And that is the progress update. Questions?
Yeah, does anybody have any questions? Mr. Rosenthal?
So I'm noticing you're taking over 706 cubic feet out. What happens to the muck in the bottom of that? Are you gonna be responsible for hauling it away?
So the 700,000 cubic feet is actually the volume of water.
Okay.
So we're improving it from, currently it holds 1.3 million, and we're gonna take it up to 2 million.
Okay.
The dredge material itself, we are still seeing where the best place to take that, which would be a landfill. And we're coordinating with the Water Management District exactly what kind of samples that they want to confirm that's okay to take it to the landfill.
Thank
So
you.
we're waiting on what they want us to sample, metals, nutrients.
This whole project's grant funded, correct?
Not as of now. I'm not sure where the funds are coming for the engineering, but what we're trying to do, I think, city could talk more on where the funds are coming.
So the city had some funding for this. This was started back when Jake Hill was here.
Sure.
And it's been continued by Councilwoman Harris. So we had some funds to start with, and we applied for grants as we do with all big projects like this. So we applied for over $6 million in grants, and they're pending decision now.
But those grants will carry the project?
If we get those grants, though, but we have some other alternatives we can do if we don't. So we have things planned.
What's the full restoration timeline
For the,
to get the lake back, to get the lake back to the way it was?
well, the construction itself, I would say it would range around maybe 6 months for it to fill up. It's all dependent on the weather, and what stage you want it at. But we could run an actual analysis to see how quick that could fill up. But it would fill up quicker than you think, just because there's a good amount of water going to it.
Yes, ma'am.
So how much of this project is surely already financed? How much of this project? Do you know how much?
So what we're approved to do right now is the design and permitting. It's a very complicated project that we have to still get permitting approval from the Water Management District. The pre-app meeting that we had was very successful, but it still takes a while to do that. The actual construction piece of it, the city could talk more on.
Yes, sir.
So we're not gonna let him get ahead of our funding. By law, we can't do that. So we applied for those grants, and as those grants come in, we gotta move forward. We have some more money that we can utilize to keep it moving forward. And so we're waiting on the decisions from those grants. So he won't go beyond the monies that we have out. And for your question, Ms. Young, for exactly how much, I can go back and look at the contract to see what we initially started off with, and I can research that and get back with you on it.
Thank you, Mr. Rosenthal. Mr. Jernigan, you have a question?
Yes, that's been a long time coming. I guess you were looking that way the whole time. We couldn't really hear everything that you were saying. You was looking this way, but this has been a long time project when the mayor was here and Councilman Hill. And we, from my understanding, from what I'm looking at now, we appreciate your effort, and especially coming in here and letting us know what you can and how it's going to be done. So I just want to let you know from Councilman Hill in the past, he has really tried to push this project. And for you to come in and say, hey, we're going to take care of this on behalf of Hill and Councilman Harris, I want to let you know how much I appreciate that, because it has been a long time, and the constituents in that area there They've been worried about that for quite some time. So for you to come in and jump on it, that means the world.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the dais? Thank you very much. All right, now we'll move on to public participation. We have 3 folks who have signed up, and we will begin with Ms. Leslie Jean Bart.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Leslie Jean Barr. I'm actually from Jacksonville, Florida. My address is 12354 Deerstone Drive, area code 32218. My family is from Lake City, my father's side of the family. And so I have deep roots here. I'm here actually on behalf of one of my clients, Sylvester Warren. 2 weeks ago, as we all know, there was a council meeting that considerably went off the rails, for lack of any other word to describe. The behavior that was exhibited here was shocking to watch from YouTube, which is where I was watching it from. And I did send an email, some of you probably received it, about the importance of having zero tolerance in a workplace for violence. There is without a doubt that there are employees who are with the city who, if they exhibited the same behavior as was exhibited during the city council meeting, would have been fired immediately. And now what are you going to do when that happens and you have an example that's been set before everyone publicly? It's going to make that very difficult to enforce a zero tolerance policy. Not to mention that, you know, public comment is such an important right that we have here in not only the state of Florida, but our First Amendment rights. And being interrupted and being intimidated, being threatened, and even having situations that, in my opinion, they become escalated and then they come back to Mr. Warren as if he's the one who created the escalation, when if his First Amendment rights had been respected to begin with, the situation would not have occurred. So I'm just here before you today to mention how important it is for those who come before you to be respected and to have their rights respected as well. It sets a bad example for those who are going to be here if they are not assured that their rights will be protected. The other issue that I have is that Mr. Warren has had a long-standing issue with one of the officers here. And that situation escalated to me having to get involved to having that situation addressed. This is one where an officer went to Lowe's and told the people at Lowe's that Mr. Warren, who is a long-standing customer of theirs, that he was stealing. Mr. Warren made a complaint. There are individuals from Lowe's who testified with internal affairs, and this officer was allowed to be in on those and hear them, and then go back to Lowe's and threaten the witnesses. This is a situation that we have going on here in Lake City involving just one citizen. And I would urge you to take the time to look into these to make sure that your citizens are being treated with respect and dignity that they deserve.
Thank you, Ms. Jean Bart. Sorry for mispronouncing your name at the beginning. Up next, we have Mr. Glenell Bowden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, Glenell Bowden, known as the Northeast Basketball Drive. This is my first meeting since I walked out, but I really don't want to talk about it tonight, but I'll say this, Mr. Mayor, since I'm here. At the meeting when I walked out, I was not disrupting the meeting. I really was just trying to get your attention. I've been doing this for a while, so if I want to be disruptive, believe me, I know how to be disruptive. I know how to engage in civil disobedience. I know when to do it and how to do it. That was not my intent. The term you use, talk stop. I'm from the school, the person said talk stop, that's almost like sitting the dogs on me. I don't think that's an appropriate term to use. And I want you to know and the council to know that I would not be talk stop. I would either walk out or the police officer would carry me out if it comes to that point. But to say it's going to be talk stop, I think it's kind of an immature term to use. You can say I have the police escort you out, I have removed from the city council chamber, but to say be talk stop, suggest there's gonna be some physical action to get me out of the meeting. But having said that, I go on to my other concern. As you know, I'm a personal close friend of Sylvester Moore. And I'm concerned really that if in fact the police officers are arresting him, there need to be something done about that. You know, a citizen should not feel intimidated, should not feel threatened, should not feel concerned about an officer taking advantage of his position, his or her position. It's a shame they're gonna come to the city council meeting to address that. But if that's the only form we got to address it, that's where we're gonna address it at, because it's 2025. And there's no reason for an officer to go by somebody's house and slow down and talk and intimidate them in a way that's the problem. That's the problem. So I would ask you to pay some attention to that, Mr. Mayor and council members, address to the city manager of how that process works. But I would hate the day come when we have an issue in the community that, oh, I told you that the Sylvester ended up harmed and hurt or some issue like that. And you can't deal with him because he's an activist. And you can't deal with him because of what he says, or what I says from this podium. I have a right to public comment to say anything I want to say, short of profanity, and you know, there's a limit, I know. But you can't restrict me from saying what I want to say about a member of this diocese up here, because that's my First Amendment right. The other point I make, Mr. Mayor, is that there seems to be an attitude that the meeting has been uncivil and out of control because of what takes place here. But I would have you to know that there's some people who watch YouTube, they have much problem with the folks who sit up here, and they have with those of us who stand here. You excuse, and Mr. Carter excuse, and Ms. Harris excuse because you were not here. But during the time when there's so-called a lot of uproar, it had a lot to do with up here, not just out here, you know. So ignorance is there as is everywhere else.
Thank you, Mr. Braddock. Mr. Warren, Mr. Sylvester Warren.
Appreciate you putting that respect on that. In the words of Kenny Rogers, every gambler knows the secret to surviving is knowing what to throw away and knowing what to keep. Because every hand is a winner and every hand is a loser. And the best you can hope for is to die in your sleep. Unfortunately, you boys and girls are some lousy gamblers, bad actors, and poor stewards without systems of accountability for city administrators, employees, city law enforcement who demonstrate misconduct. It is beyond obvious you all don't know what to keep or get rid of and will allow the baby to be thrown out with the bathwater. Noah Walker has been a disaster in every chair role he has held, from Chamber of Commerce to the failure of Florida Crown. Facts. Clay Martin, city attorney, is intellectually lazy and horrible city attorney who gives bad advice and too often no advice. He is a waste of money. The police chief and most of his crews are couch potatoes, and each year his department becomes more expensive. Consolidate the police department just as the city did the dispatch services. This would save the taxpayers anywhere between $5 to $7 million a year. Councilman members Young, Harris, and Jernigan I find to be inexperienced and incompetent elected officials who refuse to take sound advice and listen to the will of the people. They have demonstrated self-centeredness over the best interests of the people who elected them. Each of them have demonstrated to be personal-oriented rather than solution-oriented. And lastly, let me be extremely clear. Let me be extremely clear. I will never cave to none of you. I would never acquiesce to none of you. Not your sense of white privilege and not your sense of white superiority. And I would not acquiesce and I would not cave to any of you black high faces in high places, black faces in high places who are flunkies, used to crap on their own people. And as I always say, it's nothing personal. For me, I'm the person who never wants a problem. But if you want a problem, my response is always, no problem. And for those who have a problem, my address remains the same. You know where to find me. Pull up. Have a great day.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. Up next, we have Miss Vanessa George.
930 Northeast Joe Corning Terrace, and I wasn't gonna speak tonight, but I do want to go over something that was really disturbing. And I must say, I am with Sylvester Warren when I say I am disappointed in this council, especially the black members of this council, because the black community is still lacking and we're not getting any services. I expect everybody to represent their district and do something for their district, but I'm not seeing anything. I'm still fussing over roads to be paved, all these things that was already budgeted. So I am disappointed, and I'm also disappointed in this entire council, and especially the black council, when after Sylvester was escorted out or whatever, the city manager said, yeah, get him out of here. What did you all do? Nobody but Mr. Carter said, hey, listen, this behavior is unacceptable. But we need more than just talk. What kind of actions are we gonna take? Because even when it was over, and y'all wanna know why stuff escalate, because if it's dead and it's over and somebody else say something else, the other person is gonna say something else. But we always say it's Sylvester. So Sylvester was talking, he got interrupted. Sylvester said something, and then it got routed. So when Sylvester go out, hey, get him out of here. Yeah, that's right, get him out of here. So what we gonna do about that? Nothing? So that was fine. But if Sylvester come up here and say something to him, then, oh my God, Mr. Warren did this and he did this. And I'm never the one to come up here and take up for Mr. Warren, because I told y'all last time what I thought. But we gotta hold some people accountable.
Thank you, Ms. George. That closes public comment. We have no other items on the agenda, so this meeting is adjourned.